On a spring night in 1988, a red car was found parked at a scenic overlook on a historic road in Virginia. The doors were unlocked, the keys were gone, and inside that car, laid out across the seats, were the belongings of the two young people who had driven there. Their wallets, their things, their clothing. Keith Call was 20. Cassandra Hailey was 18. It was their first date. They were never found. Not that night, not that year, not in the 38 years since. No bodies, no trace, nothing but a car sitting in an overlook with everything they owned still inside it. And here is what makes this so much worse. Their case was not the first. It was the third. Because between 1986 and 1989, along a 23-mile stretch of parkway in southeastern Virginia and the roads around it, 4 young couples were attacked. 8 people, all of them in or near their cars, all of them at night, all of them in the dark, in what should have been the safest, most ordinary situation in the world. 2 people, parked, talking at the end of an evening. Some were found murdered, 2 were never found at all. And for decades, the theory that has haunted this case is that the person doing it wasn't hiding in the woods. He was walking up to their windows, and they rolled them down for him because he thought he had every right to be there. This is the Colonial Parkway murders. Let me show you the place first, because it matters. The Colonial Parkway is a road in Virginia that connects 3 of the most historic sites in America: Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Yorktown. It's a 23-mile scenic route built to be beautiful. It runs along water, through trees, past overlooks where you can pull off and see the York River. In the daytime, it is genuinely lovely. Families drive it. Tourists stop for photographs. At night, in the 1980s, it was something else. It was where young couples went. There was no reason not to. It was a park road, quiet, safe, in a quiet part of the state, with pull-offs where you could park and look at the water and be alone for an hour. Thousands of people did it every year without a second thought. And there is one more thing about that road that would come to matter enormously. Because the Colonial Parkway is federal land, it belongs to the National Park Service, which means that a crime committed on that parkway is a federal matter, the FBI. But a crime committed a few miles away, off the parkway, belongs to the state police or to a county sheriff. Hold on to that, because the killings did not all happen on the parkway. And that single fact, that the bodies fell across a patchwork of different jurisdictions, would fracture this investigation for the next 40 years. It began in October of 1986. Cathy Thomas was 27 years old. She was a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, a stockbroker, an accomplished, disciplined woman. Rebecca Dowski was 21, a student at the College of William and Mary, close to finishing her degree. They were together, and on the 12th of October, 1986, they were parked in Cathy's white Honda off the Colonial Parkway. The car was found the next day, well off the road, partway down a wooded embankment that ran toward the York River. Someone had pushed it or driven it toward the water and had tried to make it go in. Both women were inside. Both had been killed. I'm not going to walk you through the injuries. What I'll tell you is what mattered to investigators. This was not a robbery, and it was not fast. There was a level of violence and control here that told them they were looking at someone who had spent time. And then, when it was over, the killer had attempted to destroy the scene. The car had been doused with fuel in an apparent effort to burn it and to send it into the river. It didn't work. The car got hung up on the slope. The fire never took. 2 women murdered in their own car on a Federal Park road in one of the quietest corners of Virginia. It was the kind of crime that stops a community cold. And 11 months later, it happened again, 30 miles away. In September of 1987, David Knobling and Robin Edwards drove out to the Ragged Island Wildlife Refuge, across the water from the Parkway. David was 20, Robin was 14. David's truck was found in the refuge parking area, and the details of how it was found are the ones that stay with you. The windows were down, the keys were in the ignition, the radio was still playing. It looked, for all the world, like 2 people had stepped out of that truck for a minute and would be right back. They didn't come back. Their bodies were found days later in the refuge, near the water. Now, stop and look at the pattern that is forming. 2 crimes, both involving a young couple, both at night, both centered on a parked vehicle in an isolated, wooded, waterside spot. And in both cases, the victims appear to have gotten out of their vehicle or been taken out of it without leaving behind the kind of chaos you would expect from people fighting for their lives. Quick word before we go on. If these cases stay with you the way they stay with me, please subscribe. This channel is built on exactly this, the cases that were closed but never solved, and there's a new one every week. Because in April of 1988, it happened a 3rd time, and this is the one that has never, ever been answered. Keith Call was 20. Cassandra Hailey was 18. They had just met. That night was their first date. They went to a party, and then they left it. And sometime after that, Keith's red Toyota was parked at an overlook on the Colonial Parkway. The car was found the next morning, unlocked, empty, and their things were still in it. Wallets, personal belongings, clothing. And Keith and Cassandra were gone. Not gone as in found somewhere else. Not gone as in a body in the woods a week later. Gone. 38 years later, no part of either of them has ever been recovered. 2 people got out of that car on a Colonial Parkway on a spring night in 1988 and simply left the physical world behind. Their families have spent nearly 4 decades with that. Not a grave, not a confirmation, not even the terrible mercy of being told definitively that their children are dead. Just a car at an overlook and the things they left on the seats. Think about what has to happen for 2 healthy young adults to leave a car at night without their belongings and vanish so completely that not a bone has ever surfaced. Somebody removed them from that place. Somebody drove them somewhere else. And whoever that was has never had to answer for it. The 4th couple disappeared in September of 1989. Daniel Lauer was 21. Annamaria Phelps was 18. They were traveling together, and Daniel's car was found abandoned at a rest area off Interstate 64. Not on the parkway itself, but in the same region, the same corridor, the same kind of place. A pull-off at night where you stop and you're alone. About 6 weeks later, their remains were found in the woods, roughly a mile from that rest stop. 4 couples, 8 young people, 4 years, all within the same stretch of Virginia, all connected to a parked car in an isolated place after dark. And this is where the most chilling theory in this case comes from. Because investigators and the victims' families and researchers who have spent their lives on this kept coming back to the same question. How do you get a young couple, two people, together, alert, in a car with the doors closed, to open up for you at night on a lonely road? The answer that has haunted this case for 40 years is uniform. The theory is that the killer may have presented himself as some kind of authority, a police officer, a park ranger, someone with a badge and a light, someone whose approach would not frighten you, someone you would roll your window down for and turn your engine off for and get out of the car for because you believed you had to. There is no proof of that. It has never been established, but it explains the one thing nothing else does: the compliance. So why did this take 40 years? Start with the jurisdictions. The killings happened on federal parkland, in a county wildlife refuge, and at a state rest stop. That meant the FBI, the Virginia State Police, and local agencies were all holding pieces of the same puzzle. And for years, those pieces did not get put on the same table. Cases that any outside observer could see were linked were being worked separately by different agencies with different files. Then add the era, 1986. DNA testing existed, but it was nothing like it is now. The forensic techniques that would eventually crack part of this case were decades away. And then, and this is the part that infuriates the families to this day, add the handling of the evidence itself. This case has been dogged for years by allegations that evidence was mishandled, that material went missing or was degraded, and, in one notorious episode, that crime scene photographs from the very first double murder ended up circulating publicly. Photographs of two murdered young women out in the world where their families could stumble across them. Imagine being Cathy Thomas's brother or Rebecca Dowski's mother and learning that. The families did not sit still for any of it. They organized, they pushed, they gave interviews for 30 years. They made noise every single time the case went quiet. And it is largely because of that pressure, not because the system worked, that anything ever moved at all. And in 2024, something finally did. Virginia State Police announced that using DNA, they had identified the man responsible for the 1987 killings of David Knobling and Robin Edwards. His name was Alan Wade Wilmer Sr. He was a local waterman, a fisherman who worked those rivers and that coastline. He was also tied to the death of another woman in that era. And he could not be arrested for any of it, because Alan Wade Wilmer Sr. died in 2017 at home, a free man, having never been charged with anything. Investigators later announced that DNA also connected him to the first double murder, Cathy Thomas and Rebecca Dowski, on the Parkway in 1986. So after 40 decades, 2 of the 4 cases have names attached. A man who lived out his whole life in that community, who worked the water alongside the families of the people he is now said to have killed, and who took whatever else he knew into the ground with him 9 years ago. But here is what I need you to understand, because this is the part that gets lost in the headlines that said the case was solved. It isn't. Keith Call and Cassandra Hailey are still missing. Daniel Lauer and Annamaria Phelps have never had anyone charged for their deaths. 4 of the 8 victims are still waiting. And whether the same man did it, all of it, or whether some of these killings belong to somebody else entirely, somebody who may still be alive, has never been established. So I'll leave it with you, the way I always do. But first, I want to say their names, because in a case with 8 victims, people become a list, and they shouldn't. Cathy Thomas, 27, a Naval Academy graduate. Rebecca Dowski, 21, about to finish college. David Knobling, 20. Robin Edwards, 14 years old. Keith Call, 20, and Cassandra Hailey, 18. 2 kids on a first date who have never been found. Daniel Lauer, 21, and Annamaria Phelps, 18. 8 people, none of them older than 27, every one of them doing something completely ordinary. Parked at an overlook, sitting by the water, driving home at night, and a road that was built to be beautiful became the last place any of them was seen alive. So tell me, do you think one man did all 8? Or do you think that in the noise of 4 cases across 4 jurisdictions, somebody else got to hide inside the pattern? And do you believe the theory that he came up to those windows with a badge or a light or something that made 2 people trust him at the worst possible moment? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And on this one, I especially want to hear from anyone in Virginia, because that road still runs and people still park on it. I'm Gravenfield, the cases that were closed but never solved. If you made it this far, you understand exactly what this channel is. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves out there. And if someone comes up to your window on a dark road, make sure they really are who they say they are.